How to Draw Cartoons with John-Marc. Hey, do you have a pencil and some paper? Let's begin today's lesson.
All right, I'll be using my mechanical pencil once again, and that's about a B2 lead in there. This is going to be a simple sketch, really quick again, and I have some thoughts I want to do if it works out at the very end, meaning like cleaning it up and then doing some watercolors with it, colored pencils, and like little Photoshop. So here we're going to be working on a little creative island in the ocean and a little dock here. And I have a rock in the foreground there. And I've done this many times growing up with actually converting the island into my letters to spell my name. Kind of fun stuff. But this is just using your imagination and creativity and kind of like a bird's eye perspective straight down on it. Now I have a little house in the background here. These could actually be huts. So what I'm doing here first, I'm just thinking how the conceptual art might look. And this is, again, not final in any way. It's just to give me a broad scope of the feel and look. And then when I take it to the final step, I could keep it very similar or I could totally transform it different, but this is just to guide me along. So what you note here at this level, what I'm doing in sketching, it's just simple light lines, and how everything falls together. I'm trying to make a little composition. So I have the dock in the front there. It goes to that little hut, and in the background you see the top mountains. There's with some trees, or palm trees, should I say, like another hut over here, kind of balancing things out. What would your island or your creativity, would you have it very rustic looking, maybe no huts, or you could have it very futuristic added on there? In that case, and little shrubs in the background here, some more around here. That's the horizon line. All right, and the rock in the middle there. So, what else? Let me just think. All right, so what if let's start cleaning up. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take it to my next step where I go a little bit heavier on the line, get a little bit more uh, detail and definition to the little sketch that I'm doing right now. Yeah, I'm thinking at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I can definitely see that this would be a fun one to do on Photoshop with my watercolor brush. So I'll definitely going to have this in future lessons. Yeah, and if it was like a little grass hut, little grass on the top there, and a little shading underneath there. So what I'm doing here is my style. I go very quick with it, and I kind of have a final look in my head right now, even though this is the little sketch, but I'm playing in my head right now what it could look like. And it's not there now, but in my head it'd be a lot more detail with the hut there. But this just gives me that first step. Probably what I'll do is I'll scan the picture on, and then I'll bring it into Photoshop and I'll clean it up in Photoshop. So what I'll do is I'll have another layer and I'll lower that opacity really light to maybe about like 20%. And then I'll sketch on top of that layer with another brush, pencil brush that is. And then from there, I'll start having another layer and I'll do like the foundation for the background and then the foreground colors. And I'll start to create the step by step. So that's how I would clean it up. That's my technique, not a right or wrong. Some people do it a little different, and that's perfectly fine. It's just something I've been doing for many years, probably like 40 years in that method, and I just feel comfortable with it. And getting back with the hut over here, you can see the perspective, some shading underneath, and a little shade underneath there. Okay. Was that going to be an open or a closed door? Probably open. All right. Let's create some rocks in the background here. And some over here. I like that. That looks good. Little bumps from bushes and some shrubs. Some more shrubs in the background. Could it be a pirate island? You might want to have a pirate chest there with a map laying on the front of the beach. You could. All right, a little rock on the top here. I'm trying to think. You can even have like a small little waterfall in the distance on there, like a tropic island. All right, a little palm tree up here. Okay. Let's see how that one works. That's so good. Yeah, I would have like and this isn't to scale. This is just being very creative. So on the top here, the trees probably would be much smaller, but this is like, I like to have the trees oversized just to be visually fun. Make it into that technique. These are just simple palm trees. I would do them a lot more detail on here. And here's a little grass here, the edge of the mountain. Maybe even adding a cliff. That'd be kind of cool up there, having a little rock clipped up there in the head right now. And this is notes that you can put afterwards. So when you finish this, you might write on a piece of paper your thoughts so you don't forget them in that case, because everything I'm sharing with you right now, if I'm not recording, I probably would not remember 100%. This is like a rock right on the beach and the water's crashing on it. You could have like little seashells stuck on there on the edge. You got a fish popping up, a crab in here too, a starfish. All right. Yeah, that's just a simple rock. All right. And I'm just going to do like, you know what? Let's put the starfish. That got me thinking right now. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah, a little starfish on the side there. All right. It's a star island. Okay. That's pretty much just all the beach, the wet beach. This is the wet sand here. And then over here be more of the water, the flow. And so it'd be kind of light water. The water be rippling around the rock there. And these are little bubbles, not stones. This would be bubbles. Like when they crash and you're going to get that little bubbling effect. So I would have that all around the edges down there. And underneath again, a little rippling around that little deck there. All right. Okay, let's get this down here. So this, I'm thinking it's like if it was actually made out of bamboo or maybe wood. May or may not be on an island. I'm not going to get too super technical right now in that case. This little deck here. Okay. Let's just shade it down. You could have ropes on here. A diving board, so if you wanted to jump in there, and a ladder, climbing back on. All right, make a little thickness, and this is just using my mind. As you can see here, what I did here is this is much closer, so I made it a little larger, and the huts in the background a little further. So I have like a foreground, midground, and a background. Very simple. But just a fun little picture. You know what? This could be a fun greeting card also. And kind of just blending it around. All right, let's create a whole bunch of little rocks around there too. Let me get that other hill in the background. There we go. Water here, water there. The waves around here. The edge around. Yeah, I'm just thinking at the same time. All right. Do, 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 do. Ooh, yeah, let's get some wood grain in there right now. Yeah, place that in there. Some more shrubs in the background. Just shading that in there, giving some behind that in the distance, and behind there's that middle hill. Yeah, these could be little rocks. Over there, over here, some grass. All right, little stones. Or they could be stones, or they could even be shells, like because the beach is very low in that case. Okay, and let me just get a little darker there. I like that. Okay, a little bit more. Looking good. Yep, I like how that's looking. Little stones here and there. That's a horizon line. Let me just get this little palm tree down too. Yeah, I didn't get it. I could have like a whole bunch in the background, and the background would be like really, really solid, or shadow. If you're inking it in, there'd be like solid black then in the background. And the foreground as well. So I'm just thinking out loud. I apologize. I'm thinking and drawing and talking all at the same time. All right, yeah. So this will be like in the background. That's why I was saying like a little darker one, so you can see the shadowing back there. Doo, doo, doo. Yeah, this would be a real fun lesson just to practice with layers and Photoshop, and just coloring it in. Very simple, very, very simple. Some clouds in the background, you know, the clouds up top, the smaller clouds on the bottom. Make it go all the way around. All right, a little shadowing on the top. And you know what? Color pens, real watercolors would be really fun. So if you did real watercolors, you would have to create a nice, get it on a nice bristle paper and sketch it on there very lightly. And then you can have some fun with that for sure. Let's add some birds in the background. That's looking good. I like that. Really simple, small, little flying in the distance. All right. Oh, you know what? Let's add a fish. Yeah, he's jumping out of the water. He's saying hello to that little starfish over there. So he's just sticking out of the water. It's low tide right now. Dun, dun, dun. You could be even. You could have a little teddy bear. It could be a bear island, or it could be like Easter Island and having those little stones in the distance. That would be fun. I like that idea. All right, that's good. A little shade in that little fin there. Yep, just about done with that. Let's put a little face on the little starfish. There we go. I like that. What else? What else can we do? Just looking around, some more little details. Do here, a little more bubbles, maybe another stone. A crab. Let's do a crab. Yeah, let's get a crab over here now. So we have a little cartoon eyes. He's cross-eyed from the distance there, and he'll smile over there. Again, this is just like a little thumbnail. Yeah, I like that. A little shading there, a little more shading. Looking good. All right. So I think at this time, as always, I say, make sure you sign and date, share with your family and friends.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Here's a fun video game for the whole family, FriendFish. Go to the Apple Store and download your version today.
Hey everybody, it's John-Marc. I'm excited to be here right now sharing with you my latest drawing book, book number 4. I have 3 other ones very similar to this one. It's similar, but what makes it different? The beginning, I added some techniques and tips in here that I don't have on the first 3. And I'm making a 5th book on just buildings and structures and backgrounds, a little bit more challenging like this one here. But overall, the book is very similar to my first 3 like this. I have step-by-step here and a blank on the other side. Feel free to use your imagination and your style on this. So you see something here you can't draw it, that's fine. Challenge yourself the best that you can, or even do it into your own style. What else do we have in here? Oh, I got a little octopus in here as well, a little fun one. I have houses in here, robots, seaweed, one of my biggest ones on my video series that I have. People like. What else? Oh, here we go. Here's the house. So overall, you can see some are easy, some are a little bit more challenging, but the bottom line, the more you practice sketching, the better you become as an artist. That's right. So book 4 on my website, that's jmg-studio.biz. That's a good one.
Looking for a comic book that the whole family can enjoy? Family friendly, colorful, great stories, actions, suspense, comedy? We got you covered. Visit our website, that's jmg-studio.biz.
And now, back to our show. Now that was a fun lesson, and I enjoyed sharing it with you. So if you still have your paper and pencil handy, let's begin the next lesson.
All right, let's begin. And once again, I'll be using my mechanical pencil. And I'm just going to quickly come up with a whole bunch of different thumbnails to fit this conceptual idea with a house and trees and the placement. And what I'm going to do is just really go quick and going to come up with some quick ideas and see how it actually works. And let's talk them through. So I have a tree, the house, and the mountain. So you can see they're kind of flat here in this visualization. So they're both equally, almost like the house is in the mid-ground and the tree here is in the mid-ground. I'm doing this intentionally, kind of see how flat it is. And I'm going to make some of the panels a little bit larger and smaller to play around with. So let's change it. Now I'm zooming into the tree right now, as you can see. And I'm making the tree a little bit closer, but taking almost the whole top part there with the leaves overlapping there. And then the hills in the distance back there, some shrubs, and I'm going to make the house a little smaller in the background. So you can see from the first one to the second one, the placement, I like that. The tree's big and the house small, kind of gives you depth. And if I put this little rock here on the hill here, you can kind of see how you start from the left, go to the right, to the tree here, and then back to the house. You want to help move your eye when you're storytelling. And I'm just have the space. I'm just going to make this one a square. So let's make a tree here and another tree here. And let's put the house kind of like in the middle and like the tree is blocking it. Let's see how this one pans out. All right, a house over there and a tree over here, a little bit bigger in the front. So you can kind of see from the left, it's overlapping the houses in the mid and then the tree in the back side again. So this isn't that bad. I like this one. The second and the third one right now is kind of playing up if you have to create a house and a tree and a shot of a little character coming out of a door, we'll say now. Let's make this one a little longer. All right, so here's a tree all the way to the far left. Big, big, big tree. Okay, and let's make a little bluff, a little top of the hill there, and have the house on the top there, and so forth here. How would this pan out? It's almost equal, once again, like that very, very first one that I did. Okay, in the back of my head right now, I'm like, nah, I'm not liking it, but don't stop. Keep on working because something could accidentally happen for other visualization that you could use for your storytelling. And when you're doing thumbnails, as you can see right here, this is just really quick. And it's just to help you use your imagination. So if you're animating, talking about a comic book page or video for a video game, however. So now let's change this one right now. And let's do a real close up. It's okay to crop out the house. It's okay. That's a good thing too. So if the character's coming out, you're going to be very close. The window here, the door here, the roof here. And then at the tree, I'm going to have little overlapping the roof there and coming down from the side. A little more lead. All right, there we go. And on the front there. So this isn't bad. I like the cropping. It's tight. So you could actually see if the character's opening up the door and going to walk out. That's a key thing. I like that one. So visually, so if we had the little character coming out of the door and he had to go walking on a path, let's say that now. Put that in there. I'm just using this in an example. And the tree got cropped as well. Not bad. Not bad. All right, so let's use the rest of this square here. So what can we do here? Let's change it. Put the house on the other side a little further back here. Okay, quick. And a little bit here. So the house, don't worry about the shape of the house always. And two trees in the background. So in this case here, the house on the far right now is a little bit closer, and the two trees on the left are a little bit further. This is like a medium. I like the one before I did. Kind of gives you more impactive. I like it. I'm just putting some fences in here. If there was a fence line, if you want to continue, it's okay. It's okay. It's not bad, but I like the one I did before a little bit better. If you had a second floor right now, there we go.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Here's a fun video game for the whole family, FriendFish. Go to the Apple Store and download your version today.
Hey, I'm John-Marc, and you might have seen some of my drawing videos on teaching you how to draw cartoons, the step-by-step, and also the videos. Well, I'm here to share with you something that you may not be aware of. Did you know I have a series on drawing books? That's right, I have a whole bunch of them. This is the first one that I actually have, #1, and it's on all fish. What I really want you to learn is how to sketch better and how to draw better. So what better way of learning from one of my books possibly? And if you like my style, this would be a perfect one for you to learn from. What makes my drawing books a little different than from some of the other ones that you might have seen? You ready? Inside mine, you don't need any paper. You just need your pencil and you're ready to go. On the far left here, you have the step-by-step, and on the right is a blank piece of paper. So you don't have to worry about where do you have to go, I need some paper. Once again, everything you have is right in this book. And what's really good about this is the more time you spend sketching and drawing, the better you become as an artist. Well, check out this book and my other two. If you want to know more about them and where to go, of course, on my website. That's jmg-studio.biz.
Looking for a comic book that the whole family can enjoy? Family friendly, colorful, great stories, actions, suspense, comedy? we got you covered. Visit our website, that's jmg-studio.biz.
And now, back to our show.
All right, so I'm not going to work on that. So this one here, I'm going to make a long one. You'll see what I'm talking about, what you're zooming in and panning out now. All right, so in this one, in my head, I have a middle little hill. I'm going to put the house in the middle. And I'm going to be like, if you're like zooming out, or panning, rather, should I say. All right, so the house is in the middle here. Okay, there's the door, the window, the pathway leading away towards the screen in this case. All right. Okay. Let's do a medium-sized trees here, somewhat in almost in the mid-ground, not super foreground. Another one behind that one. So the house is standing all by itself. I'll put a hill there, and I put a big mountain in the background. That's it. Yeah, some big mountains back there. All right. Just sketching away. There we go. Just give that. So let's put some little trees around this little river that it is here. So little trees. So what you see here now visually, I like, you have the trees on the right, little close up, not super close. The house is in the middle, and then distance is you have all these trees in the mouth. So you're pulling your visualization, your eye, and storytelling. So imagine if I'm like zooming in, zooming out. Then give me a sec. Panning. I keep saying that, I apologize. And some grass here. Okay. All right. So this is what I'm saying here, that the house is in the middle. So you would focus on here. The camera would be close up, and then you can zoom out like, okay. All right, so a little more lead. Here we go. So you'll see what I'm saying here. Let me start the other one, and I'm going to go a little bit closer if I'm showing the same here. So this one here, this whole area right here, I'm going to redo. Okay, that's like zooming out then to the four corners. Four corners. There we go. Just to say, let me just say, write it down right now, zoom out so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so that's the second one, and this would be the first one here. Right here. Okay, so let's get a little bit closer. So the hill would be pretty much big in the middle. There we go. The house is cropped again. As you can see, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Always remember. All right, the close-up, I have the door. So if the door opens up, the little character steps out, he yawns, it's early morning stretching or whatever, and then you're zooming out and you're seeing the whole rise. You could have the clouds moving, birds flying by, the sun slowly coming up. That would be on the second one. This is the first one. I still have to show those mountains in the background here, and the background over here. All right. So this is number one, like again, and this is number two. So you start there, and when you're pulling out, you get to the second one. You see the whole house. You see the background. You see the his little neighborhood. The little bear coming out of his little hut, or it could be whatever you're thinking of. All right. So as you can see here, the key thing that I really want you to remember when you're working on storyboards or thumbnails, these are just pretty much thumbnails, not really storyboards. This is my pre-storyboards. I'll start here, just get my thoughts. Just be creative. As you can see, when I first started, kind of boring to be honest, to the very last two really jumped out. And that's how simple they can be. Don't stop. Let your creativity, don't worry about being nice and neat or anything. It's just getting your thoughts out. Okay, let's begin this lesson. I'm going to be taking two different leads and I'm going to be shading with it. So I'm going to be working with H. Okay, not HB, but letter H in the graphite. And I'm going to take a 4B. There we go. I'm just going to create a 3D cube, and I'm going to shade it and use both of these pencils. Just to share with you when you're working on something together. So working on a little perspective cube here. Okay, we're going to have the light coming from the far right, shadowing on the left side here. And I'm just going to just start. I got the pencil a little stiff there. Let's soften it up. There we go. There we go. Now the lead's getting flatter. All right. So I'm just going to put a basic tone to it right now. I can get a little bit heavier now again. There we go. I like that. And this is just a sketch just so that you understand and practice the different techniques on shading and using the graphite pencil. As you can see in the top corner, that's really nice and shadow, and it's going down a little bit lighter. Now this part here, I'm just going to go straight across. All right, I'm just going to leave it right there, and I'm going to use the H. Now I'm going to come back and redefine some of those lines, the outside lines. It's not soft lead, so it'll be still like a light tone to it, a medium gray, but it'll give me a sharper edge. As you can see here, when I'm going back and forth, there we go. And there, and I'll show you a little tip when using a graphite with a little stiffer stroke. You can do patterns, okay, like straight lines. Like if there was a stripe, if this was like a Christmas paper wrapping around a gift right now, so I can get a hard line with that graphite. There we go, and another one right here. And let's do another one here. There we go. And let's get the top a little bit. Yeah, so it's not going to be the perfect pattern or anything. I'm just giving you a little conceptual understanding. All right. And let's get the little shadow on the bottom part there a little bit. Look at it, a little heavier there, actually, on the stripes. Let's do the stripes, actually, so you can see that. Not like that. Okay. Another stripe in between. So you can see it's like a little pattern there. All right. And on the top as well. I'm just going to do the top and to the far right. I'm not going to worry about the left stripe on there. Just going to add a little shadow. This is just a quick tip of the day. You can even use that 4B to get a little bit heavier. So I'm just going to quickly just put a little shadow. As you can just see here, this is a great tip of the day to mix two different graphite pencils and learn their pros and cons. Looking for a comic book that the whole family can enjoy? Family friendly, colorful, great stories, actions, suspense, comedy? We got you covered. Visit our website, that's jmg-studio.biz.